Hey, welcome back to the Daily Dave. It's Dave with you. Hope you're doing good. Well, podcast is going well. Everything's happening great in your world. It's summertime here in Canada, and we're enjoying finally some sunshine. We can go outside without our boots and our hats and our toques. Our toques, everyone. We wear toques and scarves and mittens, and the polar bears are all on holidays, and we don't live in igloos. And but I have been chased by a moose. Yeah, well, reach out to me. I'll tell you that story. Yeah, it's Canada in the summer, and I'm really enjoying it. But instead of being outside, where I probably should be out doing some work in the yard, I'm here with you because I want to talk to you about something that I'm doing here on the How to Podcast series. And I'd love to offer it up to you. If you haven't heard the news yet, then I would love to tell you the news. Are you ready? Would you like some news? Okay, so here's some news for you here on the How to Podcast series, The Daily Dave. Thank you for pressing play on this episode. You ready? Here we go. All right, this just in, everyone. Pay attention. Big news here on the How to Podcast series. Dave, the host of the show, has now announced. We're just getting word in now to the newsroom. Yes, our sources have confirmed Dave has a new special offer just for you. The information's coming in, and what we've gathered from our eyes in the sky and reporters on scene is Dave has some news for you about a new offering here at the How to Podcast series that will really help you in your podcast journey. A special offer just for our listeners. Dave, welcome to the program. Would love for you to tell us more. Over to you, Dave. And thank you for being here. Well, that's a lot of fanfare for this announcement. But anyways, hey, yeah. So here's what's happening here on the How to Podcast series. I thought I'd use the Daily Dave to kind of put this out to you in the world. I've been placing it into the podcast and making this available for the last over 3 years. Well, I've been doing this and just kind of doing it here and there as the opportunities arise. But I wanted you to know that there is something special that you have access to by being a listener of the How to Podcast series. Now, as a listener, it's very passive, right? You come here, you press play, you listen, you walk the dog, you garden, which I should be doing. You do all these things, and you're just passively listening. You're just listening to Dave. You're listening to these great co-hosts that come on. You're listening to all things podcasting on the How to Podcast series, the judgment-free podcast to help you with your podcast journey. And you're just listening. You're just there kind of soaking in all of the podcast goodness. But rarely do us podcasters hear from our listeners. Now, what's interesting is, for the most part, you're either curious about being a podcaster or you are a podcaster. So you know what it feels like to do what I'm going to do right now and ask for you to reach out to me as the host of the How to Podcast series so that we can meet each other. So to that end, so that I can meet you as a listener of the show, wherever you are in the world, I've opened up a special calendar link just for you as a listener. This link is not available in stores, online. It's not available via a coupon, depending on where you are in the world. This is only available to you as a listener because you're here. So the only people who know about this are listeners to the show. There's a lot of you out there. I can see you in my stats, and I'm so grateful that you're here. But a very tiny fraction, as most podcasters will realize, of our listeners actually reach out and have a conversation with the host of a show. So I want to change that. And I want you as a host of a podcast or a future podcast to do the exact same thing I'm doing right here. I am modeling for you what I want you to do in your own show while doing this for my show. See what I'm doing? This is more than just podcast for me to talk to you. I'm trying to demonstrate to you what you can do on your show to bring more people into your community and have more one-on-one time with your listeners. If you have like 5-10 listens on your episodes, this is the perfect time to be doing this because your audience is quite manageable. And once it gets larger, it's going to be harder to do this. But what I'm doing, what I'm putting out there to you in the world is this. You can come and listen passively to the How to Podcast series, and I'm so grateful you're here. This is always free content, 3 days a week, generally is what we're doing. And we're already pre-loaded right now as I look at my sheet. We're already preloaded into the end of July and beginning of August already. If I took my hands off the wheel, there's 3 episodes a week coming to you right now, and that's already pre-recorded. So what I like to do is get beyond you just passively listening to the show, and I like to talk to you. I'm sure you have questions. I'm sure there's episodes that touch on a topic but didn't go deep enough for you. I'm sure you have things maybe we've never talked about in all of the episodes here on the How to Podcast series. You're like, Dave, I wish you'd talk about this, or I have a specific question about episode titles or show length, or how to get my podcast on Apple, or what is a good YouTube strategy. I have questions about a website. I have questions about how should I name my podcast. Where do I even start, Dave? Come on. Where do I start? I'm ready to start. I'm ready to purchase the items to make this happen, but I'm afraid of making a bad decision. I wish I could talk to Dave. Well, you can. There's a link in the show notes for this episode and in the most recent episodes of the How to Podcast series. You can go there and click the link and have time with me. So what is it like to work with Dave? Well, I've been doing this for over 3 years. I just haven't been like waving flags about this and trying to, draw a lot of attention to it, because it's there. It's something I love doing, and I'd like to do more. So I'm following the lead of another podcast that I'm listening to, and they do this, and I'm like, well, I'm already doing it. I just don't talk about it enough. So I'm going to talk about it more. And again, the main purpose of this is to serve you. There is no hidden agenda to this at all. There's nothing. I'm not trying to lure you into some kind of program or nothing like that. Eventually, down the road, I do want to do coaching and be paid to do it so that I can leave my night job and be home with my wife, because I married her because I like her, and I like to be home with my wife when she's home. That's kind of a thing you do when you're married. You like to actually hang out. So that's my goal. That's where I'm heading down the road. And I've been doing these for free for over 3 years, helping people with their podcasts. And I thought, well, this came into me on my SpeakPipe, on my howtopodcast.ca website from my good friend, not just a listener, a good friend, because we talk. Scarlett Classic left me this message, and here's what she said about working with me. And I'm like, well, I'll put this in here so you can hear what she had to say, and maybe this will give you a little bit of inspiration to reach out. Okay, so here's my good friend Scarlett Classic from out there, Western Canada. She's got a great podcast, Classic Advice with Scarlett Classic. And here she is, and here's her thoughts about working with Dave. Okay, well, here it is.
Hi, Dave. It's Scarlett. I wanted to leave you a rating/review for the coaching service that you provide. So for everybody that is listening, if you're looking for an honest, genuine coach, not a judge, for all your podcasting needs, Dave is your guy. I met him back in March of 2024, and with his encouragement and coaching, he has helped me create the podcast that I have today. Without Dave, I honestly don't think I ever would have started or continued to podcast. He has a heart of gold, and instead of tearing you down with criticism, he points out all the things that you're doing right. Then he will challenge you to keep pushing and do the next thing and the next and the next and so on. I'm under the firm belief that a better coach you will not find. I'm truly blessed and honored to have Dave in my life, a coach turned friend. So thank you, Dave and Jen in the background, for everything that you guys are doing. It's truly, you guys are a light in a sea of darkness, and I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have you in my life, and I can't wait to meet you guys in September. The Pod Summit is going to be absolutely awesome, and I'm really excited to see where this podcasting journey takes us. So I will let you go. Have an awesome day. Everybody listening, I wish you well. Have an awesome day, and we will catch you next time. All right. Bye.
Okay, so that's my good friend Scarlett from the Classic Advice Podcast, Scarlett Classic. Thank you, Scarlett. You're awesome. So that's a little idea of what I would like to do with you. And if you have questions, reach out to Scarlett herself. I'll have a link in the show notes, and you can ask her directly. I don't even need to be in the room. You can ask her, hey, is this guy legit, or what's up with this dude? So I would love for you to ask her. And if I can help you with your podcast, whatever it is, big, small, whatever the question is, there's a link in the show notes, and that's a link just for you as a listener of the show, where you can have time with me and we can talk about whatever you want in podcasting. Okay? No sales included. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I would love to talk to you and meet you and build a bridge, and maybe we can work together in the future. But this is just free, okay? So please try me. Try me. I dare you. Reach out with the link in the show notes, and let's get together and talk about your show. Okay? Thank you for listening to the podcast. This is a gift just for you because I think you're cool, and I'd love to meet you. And I love meeting the cool kids. So click the link in the show notes. Just you and me. Let's do this together, okay? Thanks for listening to the show. Talk soon.